Hello Outriders. Today I'm going to share my Technomancer build. I know there are faster builds out there, but this build is just so easy to manage, it's ridiculous. I use Cryo Turrets, Blighted Rounds, and Fixing Wave. I know a lot of people think that Fixing Wave is a waste, but I think it's awesome. For my legendary set, I run Borealis, which may seem odd given that we want Anomaly power for the turrets, but the 50% damage against frozen enemy makes up for it. Now keep in mind that even though this isn't a speed build per se, it still clears all the maps pretty quickly, and it will still drop this Arbiter at the end of Tariyar Guitar in 30 seconds or less, which for not being a speedrun, I mean it's still pretty damn quick. The big damagers are going to be lethal devices and cryo turrets. Blighted Rounds is going to do some good damage also, but not as much as the other two. And everything else that you see there is really just to increase the damage of the big three here. So whatever this other stuff is doing, I don't really care about it. I only care about the fact that it's going to increase all the rest of my damage. Okay, so to give you an idea of what I do, I throw out my turrets in the best position I can find, and I just start shooting. And like I mentioned earlier, I don't even have to let off the trigger if I don't want to. Fixing Wave will make sure that my ammo stays full, so my Blighted Rounds keep working the whole time. And Fixing Wave is also going to keep my turrets constantly healed, so I never have to redeploy them unless it's a particularly large map and I have to move and put them in a better position. And since the turrets are doing so much damage, they're going to keep my health full even when I get swarmed like I am right here. I don't really have to worry about dying. I mean, that guy just nailed me and I'm still just fine. And then my clearing weapons with Nicola's Revenge and Strings of Gauze, I mean, it makes everything pretty easy. So I try and throw my turrets in the most optimal positions possible before I start the fight. And then I just go in and start shooting. So my main goal is just not to have to redeploy the turrets, not to have to stop shooting for the animation to throw the turrets out. So once I find that the best spot, I will try to just leave them there the whole time. And like you'll see here against Urkiel out there in the middle, I position them around him and they'll do so much damage that I don't even have to shoot him. I only have to focus on the trash mobs. I mean, it really speeds things along and just makes the whole thing easy. So for my gear, as I mentioned before, I'm running Borealis. On the Borealis helmet, it rolled with Tainted Blood, which pairs perfectly with Omen that I have on my clearing gun, and I added Hail Shot to increase my turret damage. For the vest, I'm using the Technomancer, and really it's just because it fit the bill. It doesn't have to be that. It came with Captain Hunter, and I added to the bone to get an extra 15% anomaly damage whenever I'm using my Blighted Rounds. Pants are also Technomancer for that same reason. They fit the bill. They came with Virulent Compound. And I added License to Heal, which gives me 4 seconds of no ammo consumption every time I use Fixing Wave. My gloves are Borealis, they rolled with Double Trouble, and I added Euthanizer so that and Shatter are increasing my overall damage against everything that I'm shooting and everything the turrets are hitting. The boots I'm actually trying to replace with a purple set and then run Borealis pants instead. They rolled with Unstoppable Force, but I'm not using a lot of resistance piercing, so that's kind of going to waste. And I don't really feel that Sharp Eye is adding that much to the mix, so it's not really necessary. Both of my guns are Inferno Seeds. I've got one that rolled with Strings of Gauze, that's my clearing gun, and I added Nicola's Revenge to it. It's all about just getting rid of the trash mobs quickly, and this does that insanely well. My boss clearing Inferno Seed rolled with Fortress, and I added Omen, which gives me an extra 10% damage and pairs with my Tainted Blood that rolled on the helmet. And between the two of them, they kill everything really, really quickly. The pistol I never really use, so just find something that's at your max level and run with it. For the skill tree, I started in the lower tree, picking up anomaly power for the turrets, a little bit of resistance piercing, And then I went up through Wipeout to the middle tree, and then back to the left to pick up extra damage against frozen enemies, and to add vulnerability to any enemies that I put Toxic on, and then to also increase the debuff from vulnerability. The extra critical damage isn't really necessary, but I didn't have anything else I wanted to get, and it works just fine. Then I go all the way to the end of the middle tree, and that's where Fixing Wave really shines. Anytime I use a gadget, which Fixing Wave qualifies, I get a 40% bump in anomaly power and weapons damage for 10 seconds. So anytime I retool, I try and keep Fixing Wave's refresh time at as close to 10 seconds as possible. I mean, I'm a compulsive reloader, so I'm constantly pushing the button anyway. But the goal is to only have to push it when it pops and to not have to worry about it popping early. And mine currently is sitting at 10.1, and that works perfect. I never run out of ammo, and I have minimal downtime on that buff. It's almost constantly running. And as far as the PAX tree goes, you got to go with the upper PAX tree. That's where you're going to find lethal devices. And what that's going to do is your gadgets and ordnance are going to apply Toxic to an enemy. And anytime you're reapplying Toxic, you're going to get an extra 5% of your anomaly power as damage. And your turrets are always going to be reapplying with every bullet. So that's a ton of damage coming your way. And then every time you apply Toxic, you're going to apply another status also. And then you do extra damage for all the additional statuses on the enemies. So that's where all of your damage is coming from. And then as far as the Ascension goes, I mean, there's always a lot of options here. Since you need anomaly damage and anomaly power and status power for the turrets, you want to fill up that anomaly bracket pretty quickly. Extra damage against elites is also helpful. Critical chance is helpful if you're using your gun as much as I do. Extra ammo is also going to be helpful to make sure that you keep maximum uptime on your rounds, but I could probably get rid of that because Fixing Wave is really that powerful with License to Heal. But give the build a try. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've been using it for a while. A very similar setup since even before Worldslayer came out, and I'm enjoying it. Hopefully you will too. Thanks for watching.